of Flux and Stuff production. How you doing today? Flux and Stuff here. Today we're going to talk about how to reinforce the horizontal stabilizer of your E-flite UMX MiG15 electric duct fan. For those who don't know, this video is about making this model even better. And we're going to be focusing on the tail of this model. The objective is to get them to be flexible so they'll take a hit but still be rigid enough that you can have a high-performance aerobatic aircraft without any issues. In order to do this, we will take this is everything we need right here. So what we have to do is we have to take some 3M Blenderm and we put it on the top surface of both sides. And then we take a piece of plastic from a fuselage and we cut a boomerang and we put it through the center and we reinforce on the bottom. And we use some CA to put it all together. And as you can see, it looks pretty good from this perspective and it's super giving. And because we don't go all the way to the end, there's about 25 millimeters of uncovered plastic on the bottom here, it has enough to give. But the Blenderm on the top prevents any cracking when it gives. So this I found to be the perfect solution. So let's go through how we build one of this. Of course, you're going to need medium thick CA. You don't want anything too thin. Anything too thin will run all over the place and it will not help you do anything. It'll ruin your control surfaces. Some fix-it to zap it real quick. I need, of course, your tail assembly. You're going to need a pair of pliers. I like these little guys. A pair of scissors. I like a little tool to help me pick things and move things around. A piece of plastic from a fuselage case or any sort of thin packaging plastic from anything that you happen to purchase recently. It's quite common. A ruler, just so I can measure things up and show you what I'm doing here. Okay, let's go at it. Let's do it. Let's take everything out. Okay. Alright, so we have a scale here. Let's weigh it all up before we assemble. The reason I'm zeroing out the bag is I don't want it to, I want to put all the parts here, but I don't want the bag to be influencing the weight. Do a tug. 2.7, 2.8, 2.8, 2.7. Okay. And well, let's see what our final one weighs. Four grams. 4.1, 4.1, 4.2, 4.1. Okay. Okay, let's write that down actually. So, to begin, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put some 3M Blenderm across the top here. There's a little technique for doing that. After we put the 3M, we will put the control horns on, and then lastly we will actually assemble everything and get it all nice. So what I like to do is I like to fold it such that the control surface is a little bit away, and then I like to line it up perfectly with the leading edge. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be close. Hold your control surface away from the tape, kind of press your tape into place, get it nice right where you want it. If the tape does touch your control surface, do not pull it quickly, pull it gently and slowly. Eventually it will work itself off. If you tug on this too fast, too hard, it will rip your paint job off the top of the control surface. Okay. I pulled it back a little bit, and now I'm giving it a trim. Super sticky tape. Cool, but also a little bit annoying because it gets everywhere. It doesn't like to give up. Use your nail. Take the air bubbles out. Push it into the crease. I want you to note, though, that I have no tape actually in the joint. And that's important because you need this to be as free as you can. And if the tape touches the joint, it crosses the joint, it's going to restrict the movement here. And because this tail is already delicate as it is, you don't want to do anything to impede its movement or hamper it or make your servos work more than they already need to. So that's my advice. Okay, so just fold it over on me, but gently pull it out, and there you go. Now I like to extend the tape all the way to the inner surface. The reason I like to do that, I'll show you in a minute, but I find it makes a better join when it's inside the horizontal stabilizer, which is what the effect will be of bringing the tape all the way to the edge. Let me show what I mean. So because the tape goes all the way in, when it goes into the horizontal stabilizer, I feel the effects of cracking here at the edge are less when the glue is on the outside, as opposed to the tape coming right up to the edge. Now, because of this and because of the stabilizer we're going to build next, I like to squish this. It helps get into the stabilizer a little bit. Because of the plastic stabilizer needs to go through the center and come out the other side. The boomerang needs to slip all the way through. Because of that, I don't recommend, well, you can do this to a pre-built bird, but I find it just doesn't work as well. Okay, got my leading edge on. I'm going to fold back, and I'm going to because I got my leading edge. I don't like to fold it over the front edge of the leading edge of the horizontal stabilizer. I like to keep that as clean as possible so it enters the air. So you notice I never fold it over. I always keep it clean and go right up to the edge, but never over it. And I'll pull this back a little bit farther than I need. And I'll slip the scissors in there, and I'll just give it a little bit of a snip. Not going to work from that direction. Here we go. Okay. This little tool comes in handy sometimes for purposes just like that. Or use your nail. There you go. Now, I've done this a bunch of times on a bunch of birds because I've crashed a million times because I'm getting better as a pilot, but I learned not in a simulator but actually at the cost of real foam, so to speak. So, and I've done this a bunch of times, and this technique works the best because I've tried a bunch of different techniques, folding it over, putting Blenderm on the top and the bottom, and using only half, doing half at a time from a pre-built stabilizer, all sorts of techniques, and this turns out to be the best. So you can try it yourself, come up with something better, let me know. I'd love to try it out. Okay, so we have our two pieces. We flip them over. Again, we're not going to put Blenderm on the bottom because Blenderm and CA don't mix well. Certainly it's okay enough to seal this joint here at the top, considering it's got enough on the bottom. But if I had Blenderm on the bottom, coating the bottom, when I went to glue this boomerang on that we're going to make right now, it would not bind, would not join that well. So I don't need this to cover the full the full wingtip. Matter of fact, I don't want it to cover the full wingtip, because if it covers the full wingtip, I find that it cracks more than it bends, and that's not cool. So I'm going to show you what I'll do after this, and I'll measure it up for you. All right. I'm just scoring the plastic here, obviously, and that's it. I don't know if you can see that, but that's all you need to do. It's usually about 105 or so. It's 110, which means I can cut a little shy here, and it's usually 45 millimeters tall. I'll show you what I mean when I'm done. So anyways, I've kind of just gut checked it, and it looks just about right to me. And I'm just going to go along my trace here. This is really, doesn't matter how precise you are with this particular piece of boomerang. As long as it's generally in the ballpark, it works just fine. On the inside here, I like to turn the plastic while closing the blade, and that gives me a nice curve without creating any sharp edges on the inside. As you can see, it's nice and smooth. Okay, and so that's our boomerang. Let's measure it one more time. And that is 100 millimeters on the nose, and if I put it on the edge here and I measure the height is about 40 millimeters. And that's all you need. And so we'll just gut check that real quick. By placing them together like that and putting it on top. And if there's any alignment problem, you'll see it right now. And that is perfect. It's exactly what I want. Okay, so before we continue, what we're going to do is we're going to put the control horns on. Because they're going to be harder to put on last. Okay, so I'm going to start with this stabilizer. It's got a little tape over the hole usually, so I punch the tape through the hole. So this is the leading edge, and this is the trailing edge in the control surface, and the horn is always facing the front of the plane, like so. Now I like to put a little CA on these because I've never had an instance where I've needed to remove them or replace them. Let's see, put that on there like that. Just put a little dab there. Control surface, horn facing forward, like that. You see a little CA comes through the top. You don't really need another dab, but I don't know, put a little bit on there. Okay, slip the top of the control horn on like that. Now I usually grab with my nail at the bottom and gently apply pressure. That's it. It's snapped on. Perfect. And that's not going anywhere. So again, let me show you. I grab it like that with my nails, and I push from the bottom using the tool, push from the top. Again, there's a little bit of plastic here, tape, push it through, pull it back out, put a little bit of CA on it, just a dab, there, it's all I need. Control surface, this is the leading edge, the horn always faces forward, like so. Okay, grab it from underneath. Put a little dab on top. Tiny bit. Control your usage of that. And then I'm just going to gently press. That's it. You'll feel it just kind of pushes in. That's it, man. It's done. Very nice. 2 done. Third one. This is a horizontal stabilizer. It faces you. The horn goes on the left side facing you. And again, the horn faces forward. and put it through once to test to make sure it goes through okay and clean. Add a little bit of glue. Put it through. The glue came through on the other side, so I'm not worried about it. There's enough glue on that side and that side. Again, I press and hold and push gently. You'll know it when it goes through because it kind of clicks and it gives a little bit. And you just test it and give it a little tug. That guy is going absolutely nowhere. Okay, so we have control surface with a horn on there, control surface with a horn facing forward there, and a control surface with a horn there. Okay, we're looking really good here. Might as well, since we're here, we got the glue out, just put a little dab on the bottom here, a little in the center, a little on the side. Take this reinforcement bracket of some sort, put that in like that, and when this gets inside the fuselage, it's going to help stabilize the whole thing and put a little bit more glue there. Alright, so let's start to line everything up and get it where we want. So in order to do that, we're going to have to bend this little guy. I usually put like a little V in it, like that. Hopefully visible. A little line right in the center, because it's going to help keep everything glued together when we get there in the end. I just touched a little wet spot, and I'm just drying my thumb off before I touch the model. Okay, so I'm going to slip this guy in. So the V is facing upwards, so we just bent the plastic, the upward bend goes like that. I'm going to start with this side. In order to get this in, you're going to have to squeeze the edge here. The plastic makes it all a little bit thicker and harder to get together. So squeezing the edge there helps it get inside this horizontal stabilizer cleanly. There you go. Now, while I have a chance here, I'm going to try and align my piece of plastic that I put in there ahead of time. Okay. I like that. I'm especially watching this gap here and making sure that the horizontal stabilizer is seated nice and strong right up against the horizontal stabilizer right there. The vertical and the horizontal. Okay, so now I'm going to squeeze this with my fingertips, like so. And I'm going to just kind of bend it downwards like that. The Blenderm preventing any of that action from causing a crack in the foam, which is super cool. Okay, it's kind of tight, but I got it in. Okay, I want to check my alignment of my boomerang on the bottom. All right. Now, a bit of advice is to keep the boomerang away from the leading edge here. I like a little couple mil gap in this area right here. I don't want this boomerang on the leading edge. I want a clean leading edge. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but it goes right through there and right around there, and I've got a nice amount of gap there. And now I'm checking this gap and this gap, and I see this gap is bigger on this side, so I'm going to tuck it in so I get the alignment right where I want. Now if you look underneath, if you look straight on, you can see it's kind of flared up and away, and there's a little bit of gap here. We'll take care of that in a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of bend things down before we glue it. Okay. Okay, when this all glues up, it's going to look like that kind of. So I think I'm really happy with it. You can tell it's not super precise. It doesn't have to be super precise. Okay, I'm putting a little bit of glue in there. I hope you can see this. And I'm doing a line of glue up where the plastic is going to touch. And I'm just pressing with my tool until a bead comes up. And I'm going to take the tip and I'm going to push the excess glue up, and I'm going to just do a little bit of line, staying away from the control surface. I'm going to trace the outline here. Make sure there's glue getting around. And I'm going to do the top. This gap in the front. I'm going to come over to the garbage can. I hate this spray, this acceleration spray. Okay. Now take a look from the side. It's okay. I can fix that after it's dried a little bit. Now this side. And I'm going to use my tool stick to spread the glue down. You can always apply pressure and remove pressure if you need. Checking my alignment one last time before I'm talking about the alignment back here, before I commit to a okay. Don't get too crazy with this glue. Okay. That's it. Maybe I used too much. Okay. So I am really happy with that alignment. And if there's any, there's a little bit of a bow on the left hand on this side here. And I'll just straighten that out once this glue dries. I'm not going to mess with it until the glue dries. Okay. There you go, guys. It's all done and just to compare side by side with a completed one. You can see any distortion or any slight distortion will totally be smoothed out by the AS3X stabilization system. And you can, this is the dry one, and you can see super strong, and yet doesn't break easy. Alright guys, hope that's helpful. Have a good day.